You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I'm Refocused Radio. Once again, we are here today, and man, everybody know what time it is. It's that time of the year where everybody wakes up and you're going to either smile or you're going to frown. But we have a very great expert today, Amie Parnes. She is the senior political correspondent for The Hill. And this is the morning after the 2024 elections. First and foremost, Amie, thank you for being here. How are you doing this morning?
I'm feeling really tired, but I'm hanging in there. It was a long night.
Hope you had a cup of coffee. What is your reaction to the election, and are you raising eyebrows with some of the strategies that were made?
I think that there is an overwhelming feeling of, I think people are stunned by what happened. I think the Democrats in particular, felt like it was going to be a close race. It wasn't that close. And they also felt like they would win. And, they went in. There was a question a few weeks ago about whether or not she could prevail. She had kind of plateaued in certain polls. But in recent days, I was hearing from, a lot of optimism from Democrats in thinking that they could win. They were moving women voters. They were moving seniors to their column. And they were feeling really good. And so I think a lot of them are kind of reeling from the results of last night and figuring out where to go from here.
When you look at both camps, their campaign strategy, Republicans and Democrats, what do you think kind of made the voters go one way when it comes to how they use their campaign to hit on big topics like the economy?
Yeah, I think the economy was obviously the biggest issue, and that's not a surprise. For months and months, we knew that the economy and the way people were feeling about it would be the number one issue. I kept hearing when I talked to voters about how prices were still high, how, they didn't like Trump, but they remembered that the economy was better under him, and he had a better handle over it. This was all before COVID, but they still felt like he had handled it in a better way than President Biden. And President Biden, of course, has approval ratings right now that are underwater. They're at 40%. So it would be difficult for, I think Kamala Harris ran a really good campaign. Democrats feel there isn't any real second guessing about what she could have done. They felt like she ran the best campaign she could run after days, but she faced a lot of headwinds like the economy.
When you look at potential post-election analysis for both camps, for Republicans and the Democrat Party, in particular for Harris' camp, what do you think are some of the lessons they might try to look over after seeing the results?
I think they need to look at, they kept telling me over the last few weeks that they had a very strong ground game, and they did. They had a lot of offices in these battleground states. They had a lot of volunteers and a lot of staff, and they were knocking on doors, millions of doors. I kept hearing all these statistics, and, they were checking all the boxes. They were outspending Trump on the airwaves, and yet it didn't matter in the end. And so they need to take a good, hard look at their campaign tactics and what worked and what didn't work. And a lot of it didn't work. And so they need to kind of rebuild the playbook for running not only in 28, but in future cycles after that. And I think it's going to take a while. I think that this isn't something that they can rebuild very quickly. I think, the people that supported Donald Trump were people that traditionally should be Democrats. And so they need to work in ways to win these voters back. And I think that starts as soon as possible.
We're talking to Amie Parnes, the senior political correspondent for The Hill this morning, talking about the morning after the 2024 elections. My last question for you, when you look at some of the reports out there talking about voting shifts and all that, what do you think could be something that Republican Party will pay attention to moving forward as far as what seemed to work?
I think what they did with Latino voters, they were able to that's one of the most significant things they were able to do in the election, and also young voters that worked effectively. I think they're going to continue to build out their base. I think people they kept telling me, Kamala Harris hasn't hit her ceiling. She can still grow her support. And what they didn't realize is that Donald Trump was growing his support. And so I think they'll continue to figure out ways to do that, and non-traditional ways. And Democrats need to figure out the same thing and figure out they can't just outspend their opponent, and they can't just say they knocked on more doors. They need to have more meaningful conversations, I think, with people, and using their time more effectively and starting it early, and not waiting until, the final months of the campaign, starting these conversations really early in these battleground states and in all the states, really. They should really have a 50-state operation, and that's something that they had in the past and they've given up on.
Once again, listen, I'm Refocus Radio, talking to our guest today, Amie Parnes Senior, political correspondent for The Hill. Appreciate having a true expert on this morning. Thank you for your time. I know you're busy. Hopefully you can get some coffee.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.